This is Nan McKay, and I would like to introduce you today to Tara Jones-Williamson. Tara has paid off over $60,000 in debt as a single mother and created the Your Pretty Pennies brand to educate and empower women to move from making poor financial and lifestyle choices to intentionally manifesting their best lives and achieving financial freedom. She's the CEO, content creator, and success coach behind Your Pretty Pennies. So welcome, Tara Jones-Williamson.
Thank you for having me, Nan. This is awesome. I'm so excited for today's interview.
Well, I'm excited that you're here. So, Tara, your business centers around a passion. So
Yes.
Tell me what led you to this particular career path.
Oh, so this was, I feel like this chose me more than I chose it. And the reason why I say that, because back in 2009, I became a single mother while I was in college full time studying to actually go to medical school. I was in undergrad. And I brought her home, my little bundle of joy, with $0 in the bank. And so that night when I was in my 1-bedroom apartment, looking at her in her little crib, I was like, you know what? I have to do something differently. Like, I come from a 2-parent household. I didn't struggle growing up that I noticed, that I've known. And so I really didn't want to be on that trajectory myself. And so I said, you know what, this isn't an ideal situation, but I do have the power to change this. And so I did what I call is hit the reset button on my finances. I went back to school a couple of months later. I still was going to school full time, ended up graduating with my biology degree. However, I did go back to school and start taking finance classes. I started self-studying. I started watching blogs and programs about building wealth and paying off debt and, savings and investing and, building a business, like everything I can get my hands on. I was really adamant about changing my financial situation. And so I did, and I paid off over $60,000 in less than 2 years as a single mother using the kind of plan that I kind of makeshifted for myself. And I created the Your Pretty Pennies blog. It started off as just a blog and just sharing my story, sharing the tips, sharing the strategies that I used all those years ago. And people, especially women, started reaching out to me and say, hey, can you help me pay off debt? Can you help me with my personal income? Can you help me create a monthly budget and stick to it? I have these issues around money. Can you help me? Can you talk to me? And so it like I said, that path chose me because I honestly thought I was going to either go to medical school or work in some biology lab, because I do have an affinity to the sciences. Also always been good at math, and typically math and science go hand in hand, but I really am passionate about what I do. And I'm so thankful and grateful that now, 6 years later, started my business in 2015. 6 years later, almost 6 years later, I am still thriving and still working with women one-on-one. And so, like I said, this passion burns deep in me, and helping other women become financially free, become debt-free, become financially empowered. And so that's a little bit about me.
Well, and you can always go back to school, even medical school when you get later in life and you decide you want to do something else. What the heck?
Here's the thing, Nan. I really thought that all those years ago, when you pick your profession, when you start to go to college, you think you either could be a lawyer or a doctor or this or that, and all I knew is I really wanted to help women. So when I said, I'm going to go to medical school and I'm going to be a dermatologist, or I'm going to be an OBGYN, because I just want to work with women, I want to help women, I want to empower women. But guess what? I'm still doing that in this way. Back then, for women, it wasn't advertised to us to go into finance or to go into all these other fields. And so, the world is kind of opening up, and women are starting to see, like, there are so many different ways we can empower and impact women other than the traditional things that we go to school for.
Well, the best thing too is that you can be a mom at home with what you're doing, where if you were a doctor or something in the medical field, you probably wouldn't have been able to do the same kinds of things.
Let's talk about that. So I am a mom of 3 now and newly married. We've been married for a little over a year. So exciting. And like you said, Nan, that desire, I've desired to be a wife and a mom since I was 8 years old. If I would have taken that path, like you said, to go to rigorous medical school, and then you have to go to residency, and then you have to work long hours because, once you are a newbie, they give you all of the hard hours, the hours that the doctors with seniority do not want to work, right? And it's just like time away, time away, time away. That would have allowed me not to be a stay-at-home mom, which I often desire to be when my children are young. I have 3 children under the age of 11 right now. And I want more. My husband and I want more. And so, like you said, now I'm able to work from home. I'm able to see clients. I do speaking engagements. I do things like this where I get to talk to other powerful women like you while my kids are at home. I can prepare dinner. I can make sure things are okay on the home front. It just works so much better with my lifestyle.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit more. Like a stay-at-home mom, I have a daughter who's also a stay-at-home mom, and she has a 7-year-old, and I know she has her challenges working. What are the biggest challenges do you think that you and others are facing during this pandemic?
I think the biggest thing is the children and husband, or your mates really honoring and respecting your work schedule. So oftentimes if you're at home, they think mom is accessible, right? So they do not care if a door is closed. They do not care if you say, hey, I'm going to be on a podcast for 45 minutes. Don't knock on the door. Here's your food. Here's something to watch, or here's your tablet. Keep yourself occupied for 45 minutes. They still go to you as that point person. So, and it's a gift, but it's also kind of a curse a little bit, because being at home and everybody's at home, and then the virtual learning that happened, oh Lord, that was interesting to be, running a business to where you relied on your children leaving and going to public school or going to private school, and then they're at home and they're virtually learning. And again, because they're at home and you're at home, they will often interrupt you while you're doing what you need to be doing for your business at home. And so those were some challenges that were very interesting to navigate over the last year. But they kind of came around to the idea, okay, if the door is closed, if she's in her office for the next hour, let me focus on my homework. Let me focus on, occupying my time.
Have you divided up duties and responsibilities with your spouse, because you're home all the time? Does that make a difference?
Yes. Oh, yes. Especially when it comes to his off days. So his off days are Wednesdays, and then obviously Sunday. He doesn't work on Sundays. Every other day he works outside the home. So Wednesdays, he takes the kids to school because now they're back. It's been a mandate here in Michigan where the kids have to go back to school in person. And so now he drops the kids off and picks the kids up from school and does the whole drop off and pick up line thing. He also does dinner. So typically he will get something and eat out versus cooking, because that's just the easy way to go. I don't care as long as I don't have to do it. I don't mind it, right? But and then the same thing on Sundays. Sundays, he spends the quality time with the kids, and that's like my day to where I'm kind of off. Even though I'm in the house, they still come to me for most of the stuff, but they're supposed to be going to him on Wednesdays and Sundays for things. And then also when he gets off work, he does the nighttime routine with them. So making sure everybody takes a shower, make sure their backpacks are ready, make sure they got their clothes out for the next day. And then I'm kind of off and I can go. What I love to do in the evenings is take my bubble bath, go in there. I love good coffee table books. And so that's the time I get to do that type of stuff. Once 7 o'clock hits, after we all have dinner and after we all hang out for a few minutes, 7 o'clock, dad is on the clock and mom is off the clock.
Well, it takes 2 of you really to pull it off, especially when you've got 3 kids at home.
Yeah.
So how did your early life affect who you are today? Did that have an impact on kind of your persona today?
It definitely did. So everyone in my family, I'm the youngest of six. I'm the baby of the family. And I'm truly a mixture between my mother and father, right? So from my mom is very outgoing, very ambitious, very like she was all about managing her budget, managing her finances. She liked to work hard and she liked to play hard, loved to travel, loved to do all these different things, right? And my dad, but my mom wasn't very social. She was not very social at all. She's more of a homebody, even though she comes from a long line of, she comes from a large family as well. Both my parents do. And my mom's a middle child. My dad is the head of the family. He's the oldest of five boys. And so my dad is extremely social, extremely compassionate, loves to have everybody over at all times, loves to be the life of the party. He loves his social life. And so I'm truly in the middle of both of them. There are times where I can be extremely social. Well, most of the time, if you ask my husband, well, I'm extremely social. I love to have family over. I love to have friends over. I love to host. And then there are times where I'm like hyper focused on a goal, on my business, on managing my money, on attaining a financial goal. And I could just get tunnel vision and block everything out, right? My dad is a spender. My mother is a saver. I'm in the middle. There's times where I can just get impulsive and spend. And there's times where I'm hyper focused on a financial goal. I'm not spending a dime other than what I need, So I truly believe like having both of them. And my mother-in-law, AKA my mother-in-law, she always says that it's best to be paired with your complement, not one who it looks exactly like you, right? You don't want the same person paired together. And my mom and dad were opposites, but it made the family unit very whole. And me and my husband are the same way now. And so I think that just allowed me to be very well-rounded. And just have both of those sides. Some of my family members, like my siblings, they are like more like my mom and some are more like my dad, but they always say like, you truly are a mix of both.
Well, I think that's probably true. It's kind of a yin yang.
Yep.
Now I'm wondering about in your business, you have 5 daily habits to cultivate your feminine energy. And I have a feeling it's part of what you're saying, but I know everybody wants that. So can you tell us what those are?
Yeah, so feminine energy is so funny because we as women have both feminine and masculine energy inside of us, right? And it's so easy to lead and operate in our masculine energy and cultivate the masculine energy because that's pretty much how we get things done in the world, especially in the Western world, right? So we always are ambitious, go, 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 always on the go, over scheduling ourselves, making sure the kids got everything, making sure we're doing everything for our boss or our coworkers or, our husband, we're kind of go, go, go. And the piece that I'm always telling women is like, don't forget about that feminine side that you need. But like you said, it's yin and yang. So there's going to be times where you got to tap in and you got to focus and you got to go, you got to build that business or you got to focus on that career. You got to, execute. And then there's times where we should just be relaxing. And we have to build in that leisure, build in that relaxation, build in that me time. And that's where your feminine energy is going to lead you, right? And so the 5 things I love to do each and every day that make sure that I don't get too burned out by living in a masculine world, such a masculine world, is number 1, when you wake up before your family and make sure you get some alone time, right? Even if you live singly or if you just live with a spouse, make sure you get up even before them and have your alone time. As much as we love, if you're living single but you have a dog, wake up before you have to walk the dog. Wake up before you have to do anything for anybody else. Have that alone time. It's so precious. Even if you're just staring at the wall, stare at the wall alone, quietly. You will enjoy that alone time, right? The next thing that I love to do is get dressed every day. Get dressed every day. I don't know about you, Nan, but if I'm in my lounge clothes all day, especially when you work from home, this last year, right? If I'm in my lounge clothes, if I'm in clothes that doesn't like make me feel put together, doesn't make me feel powerful, doesn't make me show up in the way that I want to show up in the world, like it just drains my energy. Like I'm not as polished as I want to be, right? I'm not showing up like I want to be. And it just kind of puts a damper on my day. So make sure you're getting dressed every day, right? The next thing is make sure that you do your hair and makeup. Do your hair and makeup. Now, I'm not saying put a full face on. Everybody has their makeup levels to where what they want to do. I don't typically put foundation on throughout the week. I might do eyebrows, a little tinted lip gloss, and some mascara, but do something to where you're saying, hey, world, and to your family and your friends, I took the time to get myself together, make sure that I'm good, make sure that I am putting myself first, because if you don't put yourself first, who will, right? The next thing to do, the next two things are about how you end your day. Well, no, the last thing is about how you end your day. Second to last thing is that midday pause. So the three things that I love to work on when it comes to daily cultivating your femininity, you need to pause in the morning. You need to pause and take care of yourself midday. So that could be right after lunch. That can be after you put the kids to bed. If you are a stay-at-home mom, that could be if you are working in a company, you take, a few extra minutes and just sit still, quiet, put your ear pods in, listen to 5 minutes of meditative music with no words, relaxing music with no words. Again, the goal is not to go to sleep in the middle of the day, but the goal is to just keep your mind at rest, bring your energy back down, drop back into your feminine energy so you can regain control of your day, of your thoughts, of any anxiety, of any fear, anything that has washed over you between early morning and early afternoon. And then the evening, number 5, is how do you manage your evening? Create an amazing evening routine and create boundaries around it, right? Take a bubble bath, take a nice shower. Right now, I am loving these little tablets that you could put in your shower right on the floor. And one smells like eucalyptus, one smells like lavender. So you don't have to take a full-on bubble bath to get aromatherapy. They have these little tablets that'll dissolve at the bottom of your tub with the water, and then the scent will come over you, right? Enjoy some nice tea, some sleepy time tea or some chamomile tea, right? Read a book to bed. Like really judge up your evening routine, because you will love yourself for it when you wake up. How you go to bed is how you wake up. If you go to bed stressed, you're going to wake up stressed. You're going to sleep poorly. If you put yourself to bed, like how we put our children to bed, we put everybody else to bed, right? We're always pouring out. Put yourself to bed as well. So those are my 5 things to cultivate daily femininity. I have so many other tips, but those are the main 5 that I love for anyone who comes in contact with me. Those are the 5 things to start with.
Well, for sure, one of the things that I'm going to do is buy some of those little tablets. I didn't even know that they had those for the shower.
They're new. They're new on the market, and I ran across them at Target, and I said, what is this? And it says an in-shower fizz or something like that. And I said, a bath bomb for the shower? But no, it just fizzes out as the water is running, and it just lets off this fragrance in the bathroom. And if your bathroom happens to be by your bedroom, if you have like an ensuite, it goes right in there as well. It really just sets the tone for a calm evening. I just swear by those now.
Well, first thing when I get off of here, that's what you know what I would like you to do is tell me a story about how you've made a difference in somebody's life.
Which one should I choose from? I often get emails. The one that sticks out as you ask that question is a fairly recent client that I had. And I'll just call her Rhonda, just for the sake of not saying her name. And she came to me for a financial strategy session, okay? So we're going through, and she was over prepared in her side. Usually I help her create the budget, help her kind of plan out how much she's going to invest, how much she's going to say. She came already. She came to the meeting ready. She had a game plan. she had it all together. She really just needed some validation around it. But Nan, when we started talking, I started to notice that every time I asked her something about what is she doing for herself? What is she using her money to do for herself? Because she is from Trinidad and Tobago. And so she's the first generation who's here in America. She's in her 40s. And her mind was still in survival mode. She made over $100,000 a year. She had 401ks, mutual funds. She had a nice income. But yet she still was hoarding a lot of money, managing her money in a way as if she's just preparing for something bad to happen. And you could just feel the energy of her like emitting that, right? And so I just had to pause and I said, Rhonda, what are you going to do for you? I see you constantly saving money, constantly sending money back home, constantly saving for your nephew, for your niece, for this person, for that person, for this thing, for that thing. I don't see one thing in here that this is what I want. This is what I'm going to use my income, a portion of my income, to create the lifestyle that I desire. And I said, do you feel like you're in survival mode right now? Like you're preparing for something bad to happen? And she just burst in tears. And she said, I just don't feel worthy for all that I have. I just don't feel like I understand why me. Like, why did God, she believes in God, why did God trust me with all of this? And there's so many other people that are struggling. And oftentimes as women, that is something that we often deal with, right? That almost like survivor's remorse or imposter syndrome. And it's just like, well, why me? Why not the next person? Why can't everybody live this way? And I feel guilty if I spend something on me. And I just had to just really coach her through that mindset of saying, why you is because God could trust you with that. He could trust you to do the right thing. But he also wants you to have the desires of your heart as well. And for you to live a lifestyle and to have financial peace and financial freedom. And so you have to step into that, right? He's giving you all of these income streams and giving you the knowledge and wisdom to manage it in a certain way because he can trust you with it. Now you have to accept the abundance that you are receiving and feel worthy. You have to step into that worthiness, right? You can buy yourself a kettlebell. I said, what would you buy if you put money in the budget? What would you buy? What would be on your wish list? She said a kettlebell. I'll buy some, electric workout machine for my basement. I'll buy an air fryer. I said, buy the air fryer. Put it in your budget. I said, we're about to put it in right now. $100 for an air fryer. We're not going to let this wait. I said, you deserve it. You deserve it. And so, that was just one of the most powerful conversations that I had with someone. And she actually reached out to me yesterday and we had a conversation on Zoom because I wanted to follow up and see how she was doing. And, we talked about that conversation and she bought her kettlebell, she bought her air fryer, and she's happy with money, right? It's not a strenuous task. It's not anxiety written with her to manage money. It's not coming from a place of fear. She's coming from a place of power, from a place of like abundance. And it's just so amazing to see that. So that's the story that sticks out to me.
Well, that's a fabulous story. And I think it is very common that a lot of women sort of feel like, well, do I really deserve this? Or the imposter syndrome, as you say. Mm-hmm. What about young women? What would you say to young women, maybe in their 20s today, trying to figure out what to do? And of course, it's even harder now when if they were going to school, that's a problem. So what would you say to them?
I would tell women to do what I did in my 20s, which I studied finance. Guess what? The school is not going to teach you everything you need to know about finance. Our parents might not pass down that information. For some of us, they didn't have the information themselves, right? And so in your 20s, take financial ownership. Step into the fact that you are in the driver's seat for your life. And from here on out, because in your 20s, truth be told, especially in America, that is when we incur most of our debt, especially that student loan debt, especially the credit card debt, especially our first or second auto loan, things like that, right? That is when we make the most financial mistakes. Part of the reason is because we are able to make these really big financial decisions and our brain isn't done developing yet, meaning we haven't even reached a point of maturity to where we should even have the ability to say yes to everything, because everything is instant gratification in our world in our 20s, right? Unless we have children, unless we're married, unless we are wise beyond our years, most 20 somethings, they are not focused on making sure they set themselves up financially, right? And so the biggest thing that I can say is financial literacy, financial literacy, financial literacy. And also, do not make any lasting financial decisions yet. Don't agree to a loan. Don't agree to a car loan. Buy a car, right? You don't have enough income yet to drive off a brand new car off the lot. Most of your income is going to be paying car insurance and the car notes. Do not get the biggest and cutest and most elaborate apartment you can find in your city. Your income is not great enough yet, right? In our 20s, we feel like we have this new established freedom and we're just ready to hit the world, and we got our first job that's not a fast food job, and we're out of college, or we might be in college, and we just feel this sense of entitlement and I deserve and I want this. And it's like, you haven't even scratched the surface of what you're going to be able to do. And everything that you're committing to, your mind is going to change in the next 10 years. So hold off with making poor financial decisions that's going to affect you for the next 20, 30, 40 years. That would be my advice.
I love it.
And save a little bit of everything you earn. Put a little bit away.
Yeah. You know, you have so many great resources on your site. I looked at it. You've got a financial planner, which is really good. You've got a free master class that teaches you how to write and manifest the vision that you have for your life and finances. And you have a course called Financial Freedom Fast Track. So tell us a little bit about all these.
Yeah, so I created like this little mini suite of financial resources based on the different stages women are at right now. And men obviously can use them too, but my platform predominantly serves women. So I think of the financial planner. That's a tool everybody needs, because you should be budgeting your money every month. You should be tracking your financial goals, tracking your expenses. You and your money should be very acquainted, right? If you're not managing your money, guarantee your money is managing you. So I am very adamant about that. And that's why I created the Ultimate Financial Planner. It lasts 12 months. It has 12 budgets in there, 12 expense tracking sheets, has a place for you to track one short-term, one long-term goal. Every 3 months, you have a goal checklist and a goal check-in to make sure you're hitting those goals. And then we have the the Financial Reset Online Academy. That's my online course for individuals who are like, I'm ready to hit the reset button. I really don't know how to manage money. I never was taught this information. This is basically the step-by-step process that I went through all those years ago when I pressed the reset button on my finances, right? So you're going to learn about creating a budget. You're going to learn about managing that budget, creating more income streams, creating financial goals and which goals you should prioritize. We're going to talk about savings and also debt repayment and things like that. That's the financial reset. Then we have the Financial Freedom Fast Track. This is a fairly new product, and it is a group coaching program / course that is a hybrid between the financial reset and working one-on-one with me, right? So what you do is you get this course, and it's for 5 weeks. Each week we go through one lesson. You will listen to the lesson, do the worksheets, and then we have a Q&A session. And then week 2, we do the same thing. Week 3, we do the same thing, with the goal of building you a 2-year plan that allows you to pay off all of your debt in 2 years or less. That is that for that person that says, you know what, I already got a budget. I'm just serious about paying off debt. I want to get totally focused about getting hyper focused about paying off my student loan debt, paying off this credit card, paying off this auto loan, whatever it looks like. I want to get hyper focused on paying off debt. That is that program. And then also on my website, you can find that I do one-on-one coaching to where I help women and also couples one-on-one create a monthly budget, create their saving strategy, create their five-prong financial plan, essentially.
Oh, that sounds so good.
Thank you.
At the end of the day, what would you have most liked people to have gotten from your interview?
That it doesn't matter where you're starting from, right? I started in college. My financial journey started in college as a single mother, bumping my head, knowing I shouldn't have been talking to that boy, right? And coming from a place where literally when I left the hospital with my child, $0 in the bank account as a single mother, right? And here I am, and that was 2009. It's 2021. I have a successful business. I'm debt-free. I have several wealth building strategies. I have money in the bank. I'm newly married. I have went from one child to 3 kids. Like life looks different, right? And so for anyone who's in a place where they're like, I want my financial situation to change. I want my life to change. I want my lifestyle to change. I just want you to know that it's doable. It's absolutely doable. You have to press the reset. You have to identify what you want and what you don't want, and then make a plan financially to help you support what it is that you do want in your life.
You're so bright and so motivating that I just think everybody is going to want to do this. It's
great. And that's the goal. That's the goal. Because it's one thing to have financial education, but oftentimes we need that little bit of a motivation to say, hey, you can do this. Do not count yourself out.
And you can have a lot of education, but sometimes there's still not the connection between real life and this education.
That's so true. So true.
Do you have any final thoughts that you'd like to share with us?
Yes. I just wanted to say thank you. My final thoughts are thank you. I love the platform that you are creating. And I love the things you talk about on your podcast and on your social media. And I think it's amazing. And I'm just so thankful that there's other women who are really stepping up during this time when we all have our own issues behind closed doors, right? Everybody was impacted somehow, some way during the pandemic, whether it was mentally, physically, emotionally, financially, whatever it is, right? We all went through it together. But I just want to say, I'm just so thankful that you are still being the leader, still showing up for the women in your community. And for those who listen to you, those who are inspired by you, like, I just want to just tip my hat to you and say, thank you for pressing through, because you and other women just like you really help other women and women like me get out the bed in the morning, do one extra thing in their business, make sure they're focusing on one thing in their spirituality, like just one little thing. Like you make more impact than I'm sure people tell you do. So thank you.
Well, that's awfully nice of you to say. I just have a very strong feeling, and I have for all of my life, that women need to help women. So often they can get into this other sphere of almost backbiting and that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. It's, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Women need to help women. And I think that's what I try to get across stronger than just about anything else. And people need to help people, whether they're women or not. That's what life is all about, to me, is being able to say, I put my hand out and somebody took it.
And you demonstrate that so well. Like, you show us, you don't just say it, you emulate it.
Well,
so thank you.
Appreciate that. Thanks for joining us.
This was awesome. Thank you so much for having me.